Hello, my people. Good evening. Good evening, all of you conscious parents. All right, let me set this up. All right. Let me just open all your questions. Okay, Christy, I want to go to you first so that Tyler, I can have a chat with Tyler if he wants me to chat with him, and then he can leave and go to bed or whatever.
Yeah.
Hello, hello.
Hello.
Hello, Tyler.
This is
Hi.
Tyler.
How are you, darling?
Good. How are you?
I'm amazing, thank you. I just want to say that I think it's so brave that you're here, not only here, but you're here asking this question. I wish more children wanted to know the answer to this question. So I think it's one of the best questions anyone could ever ask, not even just children, adults as well. So your question, tell me if I've got this wrong, is that you wanted to talk to me about how you can build your self-confidence and not let little things bother you, like kids making fun of you, and how to not use violence as an answer. Is that about right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. First of all, I want to say one little thing, that kids making fun of you isn't a little thing, it is a big thing. Okay. So I want you to know that you have every right to feel however you feel about that, because it's not fair and it's not nice, it's not kind, all of those things. And the reason that you end up using violence or getting angry and wanting to hurt someone is because when people make you feel powerless, when no matter what you try, you can't stop them from doing what they're doing, the best way to get our power back is to be angry. Anger is what gives us back our power. And so it's not a bad thing, but of course, there are healthier ways to be able to deal with that. So let me tell you this with regards to your self-confidence, because your self-confidence comes from what you say when you talk to yourself. Do you know that you talk to yourself?
Yeah, a little bit.
Do you know that every person in the world, we talk to ourselves on the inside of our heads more than we even talk to people? Like, on the inside of our heads, there are thoughts going all the time, and those thoughts are like the conversations we have with ourselves. Does that make sense? So when
Yeah.
somebody says something or does something, and we have thoughts of like, oh, I'm so stupid, I should just run away, or anything like that, that's your brain talking to itself. Does that make sense? Yeah. So for you to have confidence, so how the level of confidence that we have with friends or at school or at home, it all comes from what we say when we talk to ourselves. So if you really want to build big confidence, you need to spend lots of time doing two things. The way that we talk to ourselves. How old are you, Tyler?
12.
All right, I'm going to give you something that is definitely for an older child, okay? And do you get to have access to things like YouTube, for example, or something like that? Can you access the internet with and listen to some things if I suggest them to you?
Yeah.
Okay. So the thoughts that we say to ourselves, right? They come from everything that we hear. Okay, that is how we get programmed to have thoughts. So anything that you hear, which means this is why I teach people all the time, be careful what environment you put yourself in. Be careful, who you choose to hang around with. Be careful. This is the most important thing, because the people that we hang around with, or the people that we live with, or the people that we go to school with, that is what determines what we hear. Because when people around us are telling their thoughts, we hear those thoughts. And what we hear becomes our thoughts. And then our thoughts become how we talk to ourselves. And how we talk to ourselves becomes how we feel about ourselves. That's how it works. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Here's the amazing thing. you have the power to change any of your, do you know, let me play a game with you. How many thoughts do you think the average normal person, how many thoughts do you think the average person thinks a day? Have a guess. It's just a fun game.
I don't know.
I'll give you a hint. It's bigger than 10,000. Pick a number.
10,001.
That's very clever. Do you know what? The average person thinks 40 to 60,000 thoughts a day, right? Now, here's why I'm telling you that. We have the ability, you have the power to change any of your thoughts. That is all your personal power, because people on the outside of your life, your teachers, your mum, adults around you, they can control what you do on the outside. Tyler, don't do that. Tyler, go to bed. Tyler, stop talking. Tyler, like, people can tell you what to do on the outside. No one can ever control what you say to yourself on the inside. No one ever gets to control that. They can control what they say on the outside, but no one has control over what you say to yourself on the inside except for you. Now, if you don't control those thoughts, if you don't choose thoughts that help you, automatically your brain will choose the thoughts that come from everybody around you. So the reason that you think about yourself like you do now is not your fault. The reason that you think like that is because your mum, number one, she didn't know how to be the great kind of mum that she's learning to be today. Do you agree that your mum's been improving a lot over the last year?
Yeah.
Yeah, she's really changing, and she's made a decision. She's made a commitment to change her thoughts and what she says to herself. But it takes a long time, especially when you're like 40 years old and you've had bad thoughts for a long time. Okay? So, what I want you to do, if you really are committed to changing your confidence, you have to change the way you think. And to change the way you think, you have to change what you hear. Okay? You have to brainwash yourself. So I want you to go. Have you got a pen or paper, or has your mum got one that she can take some?
Yeah, I've got it, Holly.
You can find whatever person you like the best, but I want you, the two most important times of the day, that's the most important for us to be very careful what we're thinking, is the first thing we hear every day and the last thing we hear every day. So when you wake up every morning, maybe even just a night before you go to bed, for example, you can go on YouTube and you can find just a 5-minute motivational speech video. There's so many cool ones with like really cool videos to watch. They only have to go for 5 minutes or maybe even 10 minutes. And, you can play it in the background. You don't have to sit there and watch the screen. You can just wake up and press play. And while you're getting dressed and while you're in the bathroom brushing your teeth or whatever it is, while you're having your breakfast, you can either have earphones on if mum says that's okay, or maybe you can carry your phone around with you. It'd be good for everyone to hear. But the first thing you wake up, I want you to make sure that what you hear, what your brain hears, because that's going to control your thoughts for the rest of your day. That's going to have the biggest influence on how you think all day. The first thing you hear. Okay. And so some people that I used to really love, I'll just give you some names, but you can go find your own people, by the way. You can just type in motivational speeches or something like that, or personal confidence or self-esteem or something. But some people that I think you might like, Les Brown, Les Brown. He's a good one. You can listen to normal, people like Tony Robbins, things like that, people that, that the whole world knows. But Les Brown is a really good one. Jim Rohn is another really good one, Rohn, Jim Rohn. And Tyler, this is what's important. When your brain first starts listening to this, it'll be hard for you to even understand it, because your brain's going to be like, what is this? I've never heard thoughts like this. I've never heard such positive things like this. So your brain's going to be like, man, this is weird. Okay? Doesn't matter. You don't have to understand it. It just has to play in the background. I used to do this every single morning of my life for 1.5 years, and I didn't miss a single day. The first thing when I woke up and the very last thing before I fell asleep at night. The very last thing, I made sure I controlled that. I was in control of the first thing my brain heard every day and the last thing my brain heard every day. The last thing that your brain hears every day, it takes those thoughts into sleep with you. And while you're sleeping, your subconscious mind repeats those thoughts over and over and over and over. And so when you wake up in the morning, your brain has already done some programming for you. And then you wake up and you listen to something that is also very positive and very empowering. And then that thing that you hear controls your thoughts for most of the day. And towards the end of the day, your brain starts getting tired of thinking like that. And just as it gets too tired to be positive, then you listen to the next one. So you can listen to all day, even when you come home from school or whatever. That's the only thing that's really going to change your brain as fast as you can change it, so that you can feel confident, you can love who you are, you can not even care what other people think, you don't even feel like you have to get back at people. It's all going to come from what you think about yourself. But thoughts can't change overnight. It has to be something that you choose to commit to, not that you just do when you feel like it. You don't have to sit and listen to it. It can just be on in the background. You can even fall asleep while you're listening to it. And your brain will record every single word it hears, even though your mind has gone to sleep. That is the fastest way to change what you believe about yourself, and then that will change your confidence. What you're hearing, okay? Faith and believing comes from hearing and hearing and hearing and hearing and hearing. Everything that you hear, all the thoughts that you hear, is what determines how a child thinks about themselves. That's why I try to teach parents how to talk to their children and use different words, because what they say to their children is what their children hear. And your parents' thoughts, your parents' words become your thoughts. And your mum and lots of other parents didn't know this before, but now she does. And that's why your mum's working hard to change. So that's what you need to do. Do you think that you could press play on a YouTube clip every day? I really think you'll like Les Brown. For some reason, I don't even know why that name is really dominantly in my head. I used to love him. He has this amazing, he has these two amazing audios I love. It's called something like You've Got to Be Hungry or something, which doesn't mean hungry to eat, but like hungry for your dreams and your goals. And he has another one that's called It's Not Over Until You Win. I think your soul will really like that. It's not over until you win. It's by Les Brown. But once you press on one of them, just look up anything that's motivational and you find who you like. And once you find someone you like, every day listen to another one of their videos. If you find one video or one thing that you love, you can listen to the same thing every single day. You don't have to have different things every day. You just do what you want. But just be very careful what you let yourself hear. That's how you change your brain and your confidence. Okay?
So Holly, does that mean like he can still have conversations with people, but if he decides to listen to what they're actually saying and take it on, is that what you mean?
No, he literally needs to be exposed to thoughts that he's never heard before. His brain needs to be brainwashed, flooded with thoughts that you were never able to give your children because you were never taught to think like that for a while, right? And when he hears it, so his ability to not take on what someone else says, the only time we can actually do that is when what someone else says is a complete mismatch to what we already believe and what we already think. If somebody ever says something that you believe about yourself, you can't not take that on. You will take that on.
Yeah, okay.
If somebody says you're stupid and you don't believe you're stupid, right? You'll be like, you're an idiot, shut up. But if you do feel like you're stupid or you believe you're stupid, you can try, but you won't be able to block that because it is it's a validation. The reason it hurts our feelings is because what we've heard validates what we believe. And it's not really what someone else thinks about us that hurts. It's what we think about ourselves.
Yeah, okay.
That's actually where the pain comes from. Does that make sense?
Yeah, so that with all the fat shaming, like all the kids are doing it to one another at the moment, and doesn't matter what I do. I'm like, so all I doing at the moment is like, stop fat shaming. We don't fat shame in this family. Like, there's none of that, and it keeps on going. So, and they all believe that they're fat, like, and they're not. So maybe,
Instead of telling them that they're not, because in their mind they've got evidence that they are. So every time you say you're not, and their brain says, well, I've got evidence that I am, like I'm this size or this thing doesn't fit me anymore, and they've got tangible evidence, all you do, even though you've got the best intentions, is you discredit yourself with the kids. The kids are like, why would I listen to you? You're so wrong, right? And I know your intentions. So instead of trying to, so remember, it's always easier to replace a thought than it is to delete a thought. You can't just stop them from thinking that. You've got to give them something else to think because your brain can't hold two thoughts at once.
yeah.
Right? So what I would suggest to you, Christy, if you want to condense timeframes, whether your kids like it or not, you play the audio, you put it on the house every morning, every night, like whatever, just have it playing in the background. It doesn't even matter if it's, if it gets too loud and you've got sensory children, you can turn it down. Just like you'd have the radio playing in the background with music that all has messages in it, that all has thoughts, that all has beliefs, particularly, this is why a lot of rap music and stuff isn't very, it can be okay, but a lot of it isn't very empowering. And those are the thoughts, especially when they sing it. They're now affirming, like they're now physically speaking thoughts that, can be very damaging. So you play it, you create the environment, you play audios in the car, not to the point where your kids are fighting over it, but just play it softly in the background. Like when the conscious mind isn't even thinking about it is when the subconscious records, like literally it records every word it hears, particularly when the conscious mind is out the way. So it'd be good for all of you. But yeah, this is the thing, like to literally condense timeframes and to fast track this process. It can't just be that, they hear a sentence from you here and there throughout the day. You're not the main person speaking to them all day. They're at school, they've got friends, they've got teachers, the world is reflecting back to them an identity that they start to own and that they take on. And so they're going to need, I'm just being real with you. Like if you really want to change confidence, the only way you do that, what is confidence? It's what you believe. What self-esteem is what you say when you talk to yourself. It's what you believe about yourself.
Yeah. Okay.
It's intrinsic belief systems. And where do they come from? How does a child in the first place not believe in themselves, right? Accidentally, unintentionally, by parents that love them dearly. We have spoken to them in ways that have shaped those thoughts and those beliefs. We've reminded them, we haven't said the words, you're dumb and you're stupid and geez, you get it wrong and you can't do anything right. But every time we yell at them and every time we're angry at them and every time we highlight what they did wrong, that's the message they receive.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? And when they've had nothing but that kind of language spoken to them for 10 years or whatever, 11 years, you've done a lot of work in the last year, but it's still not natural. You still have to keep your conscious mind on to get your words right? Because because you've had these damaging thoughts, which have affected your confidence and everything for 40 years or whatever, however old you are. Does that make sense?
It does.
So if we're really talking about changing confidence long, I don't want to give him a Band-Aid because the Band-Aid will last a day and then he'll be like, oh, Holly's full of shit and what she says doesn't actually help because it helped for a day and now it doesn't help. I don't want to do that to him. I'm like, I want to tell you the truth that you're going to have to commit to this for, 18 months of every day, like especially when you've had a hard day and people have said really mean things to you. That's the most important day. That'll be the day you feel the least like listening to something positive because you're not a vibrational match to the positivity. So it'll feel hard for you to listen to. But that's the day it's most important for you to come home, you to press play on an audio that goes for 1 whole hour if you need to, and totally have something else speaking to you about who you can be if you choose to be it. Yeah, you too, Christy. Every person. Okay?
Oh, definitely something I'm going to take on board. That's for sure.
Yep. So just remember, Tyler, it always comes back to what you believe about yourself. That's the only time other people's words will hurt your feelings is when you believe what they say about you. If you don't believe what they say about you, like for example, Tyler, if I said to you, oh my gosh, you just turned into a horse. Oh my gosh, you've got a tail and a mane and like ears that come up on your head and like, oh my God, like you've just grown like really tall. What would you think? What would you, if I tried to convince you right now, oh my God, you got this like big, long face like a horse with nostrils on the end and like these eyes on the side of your head. Everything about you is just changed into a horse. What would you think? Do you think you're a horse or do you think I'm pretty crazy or stupid for even saying that you've turned into a horse?
Yeah.
You think I'm a bit crazy and stupid, right? You're like, you're stupid. Like, shut up, you idiot. Right? Is that what you think? You know why? Because you don't believe you're a horse. That's why it's easy for you. I could try to be as mean as I wanted to you right now and tell you that you're a stinky horse or something and you're some big horse and you're like, you're stupid. I don't have a mane or a tail. I'm actually not a horse. You're just an idiot. Yeah? So I couldn't convince you that you're a horse. You know why? Because you don't believe that you're a horse. You know you're not a horse. So it's not what the person says that's trying to be mean to you that hurts you. It's what you believe about what they say. That's what hurts your feelings. And so the only way to change that is to change what you believe about yourself. And the only way to change what you believe about yourself is to change what you hear day in, day out, every day, every day, every day, every day. When you hear it enough, you will believe it. You won't even be able to help believing what you hear all the time. That's how our brains get programmed. So if you like these audios, listen to like 5 hours of them a day. Fall asleep at night with it playing. If you're allowed to use the Wi-Fi for that long. Okay? Yeah?
That's slide.
Christy, the last thing I'll say to you is this, and for everyone on the line, it's been a long time since I talked about this actually. If you go on Audible, have you got the Audible app? Do you get audios from Audible?
I do have the Audible app.
So go and get this. Everyone get your kids on this. My kids, still to this day, they listen to it sometimes, but I reckon for at least 5 years, every single day, they listened to this as they fell asleep and as they woke up. They even used to set it as their alarms. They would like set their alarms, 20 minutes before they had to wake up. So they'd get the alarm would go off, they'd wake up, they'd press play, and then they'd fall back and kind of doze while they're listening to it. It's Louise Hay. Wait, hang on. Louise Hay. It's called Morning and Evening Meditations. It looks like this. Well, this is what it looked like when I downloaded it fucking 8 years ago. Like that. Looks like that. Can you see it? Morning and evening meditations. And in there, there's only 2 meditations. One's for the evening and one's for the morning. Okay. And they're 25 minutes and 27 minutes. That's where I started one of my journeys as well. Like I would just play the evening meditation. I'd put it on play and I'd fall asleep to it. And like literally her voice just soothes me to sleep these days. But the words and everything that she puts in your mind as you're falling asleep are the best. And then I'd wake up. So, so you could be like, you get up, Christy, 25 minutes before anyone actually needs to be up. You get up, you press play or whatever. Let all their subconscious listen as they're waking to the morning meditation to start your day and the evening meditation to finish your day. Phenomenal.
Oh, perfect.
Okay. That'll help a lot. But other than that, help him find some audios. Even if they're, with his like neurodivergent brain, you might need to find him some audios that go for 3 minutes or 5 minutes or ones with, like videos of boxers and sports stars and things like that, whatever engages him. But you're going to have to help make a big, long playlist of things that he can wake up and press play on.
Okay, awesome.
Okay? Awesome. That's how you change your child's mind faster than you can change it yourself.
Okay, perfect.
No worries.
He just had gone to have his asthma puffer. He's just diagnosed with whooping cough today, so it's been a bit crazy.
Yeah, no, definitely. No, that's fine. No problem at all. All right.
Thank you,
all right, everyone get that. I would definitely suggest to get those meditations. All right. Who is Seashells? What is your actual name? Are you Shelley McDonald?
That's my name. Yep.
Good. Okay. I thought you were Shelley, but I'm like, I could get this wrong. Anyway, hello, darling.
Hello. How are you?
I'm excellent. Thank you for your very raw and brave. Oh, hang on. Let me just press something. I'm just going to. Thank you for your very raw and brave question. Because it is. I love that you have a lot of personal awareness in this. All right. You said I need help with losing my shit over little things. I love how you said he's not even really doing anything wrong, but it's not how I want him to act. And then I crack the shits with him. Why do I do this? He is his own little person. I love this. I love the way you've approached this. Look, that I'm going to give you a very real, very blunt answer first, okay? Like with love, and I'm not going to hurt your feelings, but I'm going to be real with you. And then I can give you a little bit of a what do you do today? What do you do tomorrow? Okay. So all of this is coming from wounds that you carry that are unresolved and very unhealed and very probably infected emotional wounds that you carry that your son triggers. Okay. So anytime, just exactly like, let's say you had a skin disease of some kind, you had sores all over your skin, all over your body. No matter how much you tried not to, if I came up, even trying to be nice to you and went to give you a hug and I touched one of the sores on your back, you wouldn't be able to help but jump and be like, oh, fuck you. You hurt my back. You hurt my back. And I'm like, oh, sorry. I was just trying to give you a hug. It doesn't matter what my intentions were, what you wish you could have done. You're going to react to the wound being touched. Does this make sense?
Yeah,
Okay.
it does.
Okay. The place that I can absolutely assure you that you can heal those wounds is Happy to Hold Retreat. It's the 3-day retreat that I run that we just had in October. But for the first time ever, we're running it in April so that you don't have to wait a whole year to come back. Okay.
I actually spoke to you probably about 2 years ago and I wanted to do that course, that retreat, but I never, yeah,
You need to get to a place literally where nothing else is a priority that comes anywhere near that. So that no matter what it takes, whether you have to bloody beg, borrow, or steal, don't actually listen, whatever, you have to get to that retreat. You have to heal these wounds. Okay.
Yeah.
There's no strategy, there's no tool, there's no, technique that anyone can give you that is going to work long term or more than 1 or 2 times. And in the meantime, every time your son unintentionally, having no idea that you've even got these sores and these wounds on your emotional body, he's not meaning, he doesn't even know that there's sores there, right? And every time that you react to him the way that you do, and I know that you don't mean to, I totally get that. This is why I'm like, the only way, ask anyone on the line here, Kim Dyer is a good one to even ask. She just came and she was like you. She has been intending to come to Happy to Hold for like 3 years. I'll be sharing her story soon. She actually did a testimony video for us, but the changes in her, I mean, in a day after the retreat, like the next moment that she saw her children, all the things that, triggered the shit out of her, that she would use every ounce of might in her body to try not to react to her children and still couldn't get there most of the time. Literally, straight after that retreat, are very dissolved. Like I remember her texting me maybe 3 or 4 days after the retreat, just talking about how different the kids are. And she's like, I haven't even done anything different. They can feel me differently, right? So make that your highest priority, not just for your children, but for you, babe. Okay.
Yeah.
Getting around in your life, carrying these wounds that are available for anyone and everyone to touch, it damages your parenting. And it really damages your personal relationships, particularly with partners, right? Do you find that you have cycles that repeat often in your romantic relationships?
Yeah, I literally hate him at the moment.
Yeah. And there's a good chance it's probably not even his fault.
Oh, no, I know it's not his fault. Yeah.
And listen, it's not your fault either, okay? Unfortunately, it is your responsibility to fix this, to clean up the mess that someone else created in you. Somebody else came along and damaged you and made a mess out of you. And it sucks that we have to clean up the mess that someone else made.
Yeah. I even just said to my partner this week, he kept touching my face and thought it was really funny. And then I was like, mate, stop touching my face. And then he didn't understand. But then once I calmed down, a couple of days later, I said, it's trauma of myself, how people used to treat me and think they can do whatever they want to me. and there's nothing against him, but it's just underlying trauma.
It's huge, babe.
Yeah.
And you know what? You need to have your power back. You're ready to have your power back. It sounds to me like you have had your power taken from you more times than anyone should have in their life, if not your whole life. And the best place to claim back power as an adult is with these tiny little children that we raise
Yeah.
are powerless to us. But then all we do is pass on the wound that was given to us.
Yeah. And I know, like, I do that already. And I know that I treat William badly because of, like, I don't know.
Why
It sucks.
tell me, why do you think it is?
I feel like probably in my my relationship with my partner, so I don't ever feel like I can express how I feel, and then so I take it out on William. Yeah.
And let me ask you this, when it came to being a child and growing up, who, if you had to pick one parent, and it might have even been both, but if you had to pick one, who was the parent that you were never allowed to have feelings with? Was it your
Yeah, probably. I can't even remember. I've like blocked my brain. I can't even remember my childhood at all.
right.
Yeah. I
There's
got nothing.
a lot in there. There's a lot in there. And what I want to share with you, and I just say this with the whole of my heart. I mean, I've literally just come out of, the most recent retreat, and it blows me away. It, like, just what happens inside that room. Like, let me be real with you. It's fucking scary to come to. Okay, it's scary to arrive at. Once you are there, once you've walked through those doors and all the anxieties and all the what ifs and all that, I can't do this, and what's this going to be, all of that stuff that just comes from your past. It's all trauma responses. Okay, once you walk through the doors and you are held in the safety of that room, if there was one repeating sentence that we hear from people that almost didn't show up because of the anxiety and fear of, like, what if I open this fucking Pandora's box of my life and then I can never put the lid back on, and then I go home totally messed up, right? And those are valid fears, okay? But if there was one thing that we hear with every person, it's how safe it was. It's like they'll say things like, I can't believe, I still can't believe I even felt okay to say what I said, to tell the room a secret of, not that we make you tell secrets, by the way, not that we make you, we force you to tell the room a secret, but it becomes so safe, that people, Kim was one of them, but there were many people that, have anxieties, and if I remember her saying, we go down to the beach on the Sunday morning, and we do this special thing down there, and she just said, literally, for the first time, I can actually say I do not have an ounce of anxiety in my body right now. I just, the showing up and the doing the work that we do there, the safety is intense. I can't explain it. There's no way to articulate it. I do acknowledge that it feels so scary with all of the preconceived ideas and the way our brain wants to hijack us and give us the worst case scenarios and all of that. It feels scary to book and to say, fuck it, I'm doing this. I'm just going to unpack my life's worth of baggage. Okay. But once you are there, it is nowhere near as scary to actually go through what we do with you as it was, as your brain made it feel like it was going to be before you got there, if that makes sense. The scariest part is just showing up and walking through the doors.
Okay.
So
Yep.
say that it's not scary. I'm not going to say that you're not going to have trepidations and doubts and, can I do this, and should I be doing this, and what if this makes me worse? That is very normal. And in fact, when you sign up, we put that in an email. The month leading up to the retreat, we send you an email that says, here's a heads up on what the next month is going to look like for you. Because as you're leading into a space where your soul knows that it's got, that all of the healing is available to it, everything works against you. Like if there, and I'm not a religious person, but I do like the analogy of like God and the devil. All right. You can call it like the light and the dark, or, whatever, like your higher self and your shadow self, whatever it might be, ego and spirit, whatever. Right. But if you imagine the concept of like a God and a devil, it's like anytime you're going to do something that is in alignment with the light, with God, with your healing, with the truth, with love, right? Anytime there is, and there will be, not just this time, anytime in your whole life that you do anything worthwhile in your life, there will be a force that works against you. Like the devil shows up to stop you from being there. And everything that goes wrong for you is just a validation of how powerful that moment's going to be. I can tell you with every moment in my life and so many hundreds of people just right here in this program, that all of the things that everything went wrong for always became the moments that they can point to go, that's the event that changed me. At that event, I learned this. In this space, I learned that. Like, and all of those things, like my kid got sick the day, Kim's dad had to go have quadruple bypass surgery and ended up in ICU and almost died like the week leading into retreat. And she was like, what do I do? Number one, my parents were supposed to have my kids. They're supposed to be the babysitters. Now I have no babysitters. I'm coming from interstate. My dad potentially might die. Like, how the hell do I show up at a retreat when my dad could die right now? And she did. Like crazy things happen. Okay. That's the hardest part. Okay. Once you get there, you will, like that's all I know for sure. I know for sure what's available to you. Like I can give you some other little tips and pieces, and maybe it works and maybe it doesn't. Maybe you apply it, maybe it doesn't. That is the one space that I can give you a guarantee that if you show up, I mean, I'm literally putting my money where my mouth is right now. I mean, a fucking guarantee that if you show up and you're willing to lean in and do the work, like you're truly willing to just move through any moments of fear and let us hold you and move into the processes that we offer you, it's impossible for you to go home with the same wounds that you arrived with. It doesn't mean they're all healed by tomorrow. Yes, there's an integration process, but your level of peace, your ability to meet yourself in all of your big emotions instead of projecting them onto your children or onto your partner, your ability to feel and to not be scared of your feelings anymore is just, I don't have words. I do not have words. It's not even like me that creates that retreat. There is some higher collective consciousness that has its way with all of us that weekend, myself included. I don't even know how to put words on it.
Okay.
So in terms of you healing properly and really doing this work, and here you are 2 years later or whatever you said, and you're getting the message you got 2 years ago, and I didn't even know that. Like that shit's not an accident, okay? So that's it, number one, okay? What do you do tomorrow? How do you just get through until April, okay? If you sign up now, you've got a 6-month payment plan as well. We'll change those payment plans probably in January, and they'll become 3-month payment plans. So there's still a payment plan, but it just means you'll have to pay it off twice as fast, which means each installment is double the amount, basically. So if you sign up to it now, it'll give you 6 months to pay the whole thing off. Okay, you can do it weekly, fortnightly, monthly. And the minute that you're locked in, the minute that you align with the decision that your soul is calling you to, and it's like the first calling of your soul that you have said, I'm answering my soul's calling. I'm not ignoring this shit anymore. Even though it's that far away and I could book for it later, the minute you book for it, it's like your soul learns to trust you again. It's like your soul's like, oh, like you're really going to show up for me now. Like I'm actually going to have a place in your life. And between now, from the minute that you make a decision on something and, you totally commit yourself to it, between that moment and whatever the event is, whether it's our retreat or something else that you do in your life, there will be shifts, there will be changes, there will be an openness, there will be a readiness in you to receive things, to change at other levels that you can't create without that commitment to your soul's calling. Like your life will change. You'll be like, I don't even know what I've done. I feel like and then I'll be like, oh, what have you signed up for recently? Literally, it happens like this. And if anyone has signed up for something that they felt called to and they've done it, they've just bit the bullet and just gone, I'm doing it. I don't know how, but I'll find a way. I'll get there. I'm signing up. It's done. And this or anything else. Not just for healing, but even when it comes to your purpose and your desires, so many things in life. But the universe responds to resolve. And this is how your soul goes, oh, okay, you've got a space for that now. So now let me offer you some lessons that you're going to need or some experiences that can help you make progress and help you open your heart more before you even get there. So what changes in your life, like let's say instead of booking in February, then you've only got March and April to change. You book now, and the changes in you from now until February when you would have booked anyway, it's like it puts you further in front because you're already halfway down the path before you even get there. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I just want to call you forwards into really starting to follow some soul callings in your life, because every time you get a calling with anything and you ignore it, you betray yourself. I'm gonna sneeze. And your self-betrayal is the deepest injury your soul will ever suffer.
Yeah. I feel very broken. Yeah.
And part of that reason you're feeling so broken is because you can't heal in the environments that have hurt you. And if the only environment you have access to is also the environment that hurts you on a daily basis because you feel guilty, you hate yourself for what you do, you've got all these reasons to beat yourself up and, like remind yourself that you're a bad person and all these things, if that's the only environment you have access to, then like it's a real self-abandonment. It's like your soul is just like, can you please make some decisions in your life? Can you please show up in some environments? Can you please put yourself in places where you can be nourished, where people can hold you, where the shame can be stripped off you and you don't hold this guilt and this shame anymore?
Yeah, I think probably the last year my body just feels like anxiety from the top of my head down to my toes, and I felt so angry in my chest. Yeah.
Who are you most angry at? Just tell me what just comes to
yeah, probably myself and not telling how I feel ever. Yeah.
Babe, you don't know how to.
No.
You don't know how to.
Yeah, I don't know. No.
Now, the only other thing that I would say to you, and this depends, how committed you are to getting help as fast as possible. Of course, coming to these calls every week, whether you've got a question or not, get your butt in this environment, get yourself just in the energy that you can feel when you sit on these calls, right? Just let your mind, like I just said to that little boy, like Tyler, where you can hear and hear and hear for 2 hours, for 1.5 hours every single week. Put yourself in an environment where you can hear, where new thoughts, new beliefs, all these seeds are planted in you. If you want to fast track, though, the other thing, I don't know if you're aware, but I have coaches, so I'm not taking any more one-on-one coaching clients at all anymore. My coaching days are closing now. I've just taken on my last 2 clients, and that's it for me. But you can work with one of my coaches, right? So Nicole is one of my coaches here, for example. She's got a whole bunch of clients that are working with her at the moment, people that, journeyed with her at the retreat and signed up with her straight away. So if you feel like you need some one-on-one support, you don't have to pay my prices. Like I used to, my 11,000 for 3 months or whatever. For my coaches, it's only 2,500. And that's for 10 weeks. And that's not only to have 10 sessions with them one-on-one, but it's also for you to have text message access to them basically 24/7. Okay, you can message them. They only reply Monday to Friday. But if it's 2 a.m. on a Saturday night and you're lying there awake, riddled with guilt, you can text your coach. They won't reply to you at 2 a.m. on a Saturday night, but you can text in the moment when you're in the feeling of it so that you can articulate everything that's going on for you. And when your coach gets a chance to be able to read that, they're able to offer you a lot more support and a lot more help. So if you want to fast track that, and you're willing to invest $2,500 in yourself, reach out to me. I can connect you with one of the coaches. And and probably Nicole would be your best one because she's here in this community. She's a parenting coach as well as a soul coach, like we call them conscious coaches. So, I've worked with her for 4 years now, and yeah, she's incredible. Okay, so if those are the options. Okay, otherwise, I have a group coaching program. If you feel like you need some support or whatever, that's a 6 month commitment, and that's $1,000 a month, but it's a 6 month commitment. Okay, but so you pay it over the 6 months. That's how you get coaching with me. But one-on-one might help you a lot. Okay. Otherwise, at the very minimum, if you're in a place where you're like, I can't spend another dollar, or I'm stressing out about Christmas coming and whatever the deal is financially, then at least show up here every single week. Okay. And in the meantime, with your son, like, why do you do this? The reason that you lose it with your son is because, like I said, you've got wounds that you can't help hurt when they are touched. And all you're trying to do at the moment, you're not a bad person. You're not even a bad mum. I know that, what you do, you're like, but I am, because I know I do this to him. And I get that. And it's true. It does hurt him and it does cause trauma and all those things. Okay. But there's nothing that we can't heal. Okay. You've got to remember he chose you as a mum. His soul did choose this incarnation. So, there is purpose even in the pain that you create for him. Okay. And because you feel so guilty, he becomes the messenger in your life. He's the one that wakes you up because you just can't bear what you do to him. So he becomes your greatest savior because eventually it's because of him and the guilt you feel that you decide to do the work on healing yourself.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yep.
I just want you to know two things.
Yeah.
Two things I want you to know from this. Okay? Shelley, you're a good person. You really are a good person. And it's not your fault. I want you to just let that land in your heart. It is not your fault. Yes, it's your responsibility. I can help you with that. But it's not your fault. Okay?
Okay.
All right. And in the meantime, be a little bit gentle with yourself. The more gentle you are with yourself, the more space you'll actually feel like you've got with your kids. Because when you're gentle with yourself, when you're not beating yourself up and criticizing the shit out of yourself, when you do that, imagine like you've got an emotional bucket. And when you remind yourself by lunchtime, and you've already reminded yourself 10 times why you're such a shit person or what you've done wrong or how bad you are or something like that, there's nothing left in the bucket. And then when you have no space left to take on any more emotion because you're too full already of guilt and resentment and all of the things, like, this isn't what I thought parenting grief. This is not what I thought parenting would be. This is not what I had in mind when I decided I wanted to be a mum. Like, none of this was meant to be part of the deal. So you have to let yourself grieve for the children you've got. And we all need to do this. Need to let ourselves grieve for the children we end up with in comparison to the idea, the fantasy that we had about the children we will have. The gap between how we wanted it to be and how it actually is, that gap is loss. Loss is grief. And grief's best protector is anger. That's so angry. And you're probably grieving for so many things, darling. You're grieving for the childhood you've lost, for the memories you don't have, for the part of yourself that has been beaten out of you by life and by the people that have hurt you. There's a lot of things that you've lost in the process of getting to here. And there'll be a lot of grief. And grief is one of the big emotions that we work on at retreat in our astral body work, the soul work that we do, is anger, fear, guilt, and grief. They're the 4 emotions that take up the most space in us. And when you can learn to meet yourself and to friend and to include each one of those emotions, and you learn how to sit with it instead of hating how it feels and needing to get it away from you, that's what makes you react. That's what makes you snap. That's what makes you triggered. Trying to get away from a feeling. So when you can learn to sit and hold all of your feelings, you have nothing to run from. You have nothing to be triggered at. Doesn't mean you won't be triggered, but you can sit with the trigger.
Yeah, okay.
Right?
I never, not never, but yeah. I have an 18-month-old, and before I had the 18-month-old, I was okay. I didn't get so many, I don't know, like I was better. Not better, but just I did contact you 2 or 3 years ago, so I wasn't fully better, but I didn't crack it as much. Yeah.
You know, it's a you've only got one person to have to manage. And by the way, can we just keep in mind that raising a 2-year-old is very different to raising a 5-year-old. How old's your son now?
He's 7.
7. Okay.
Yeah. And he's just got a assessment, and he's got level 2 autism and auto processing disorder. Something.
And so there's grief in that. There's
Yeah.
that he isn't the child that you thought you'd have. And it's okay, and you're not a bad person to feel like that sucks.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you got to deal with that forever now. Okay. And there are ways to deal with it. And a lot of, especially ADHD traits, a lot of them are actually unprocessed trauma. They're not even ADHD. So once you start healing and then you provide healing to your children, a lot of their ADHD symptoms, go away. A lot of them. Ask Nicole. She's a good example. Her son was riddled with ADHD and autism when she first joined the program. And
I know I feel like, yeah, it's definitely like he's just a different kid as well.
yeah.
Yeah. And obviously that's me, my trauma going onto him. That's how he's reacted. Yeah.
Exactly. So it's time. Your soul was trying to call you a while ago. It wasn't, whatever the reasons were, it doesn't matter. Now it's giving you another call, and it's just time for you to answer that call. I would definitely encourage you to, if you can work it out financially, to work with Nicole now so that you get help now. And then that leads you into the retreat, like that would just be the most incredible scenario. So if you have the ability to do both of those things, I would encourage you to find a way to do that. And if they're not both an option, whatever feels right for you. Maybe it's best for you to go with Nicole first and pay for a retreat later or something like that, or see what happens.
How do I get all the details for both of them, and then I can work out if I can afford it or not?
Well, I tell you what, how about you just I'm happy for you to send me a private message to my personal profile, like to Holly Noonan. Like, don't send it to the Holly Effect because I basically never check that inbox. So send it to me personally, and I'll reply to you tomorrow.
Okay.
All right, darling.
Okay. Yeah.
Go to either go find me on Facebook and send me a friend request or whatever so that you can send me a message, or you can go into the group and find all the posts that I make, which I make in my own personal profile, and just send me a message from there.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, darling. No worries. Hang in there, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Hang in there, darling. And there's a whole heap of comments for you. I've just seen,
I'll have a look.
Oh, look, there's Sarah. Sarah's got a son with ADHD and autism, and she's saying she seconds that. She said that his symptoms have halved. It's mostly trauma-based.
Yep.
Okay?
Wow. Yep.
So many kids have trauma. Society doesn't know what to do, so they just give it a label.
Yeah.
There you go. Kim saying the same about her child with autism. It's not a coincidence. All right?
Amazing. Thank you.
Careful, darling. Okay. Let me go back. Oh, hang on. All right. Hang on. Let me just reply because I'm going to pull up the Happy to Whole retreat here because 2 of you have just sent me private messages. Thank you. I'll just put it here and then you can get it from here too, Shelley. Happy. I'm trying to remember this off the top of my head. I think this is it. That's the Happy to Whole retreat if you want to go book for it. And you can sign up to 6-month payment plans. Okay. If you want to look at coaching one-on-one, you can either reach out to me or you can reach out to Nicole, whichever. All right. Sarah Pacquiano, let's talk, girl. Where are you?
Hello again.
Hello again. This is because Sarah was on my group coaching call just like half an hour ago or whatever it was, an hour ago. So that's why she's like, hello again.
Hello again.
So,
so I think we addressed the decision making, but I think it's more
yes.
With Eliza. So she's very impatient with her. It's not like her, but she will just lose her shit at her, kind of push her like randomly. If Eliza says things that a 4-year-old says that are, a bit dumb to Imogen, she'll put her down in front of everybody and say, like, as if you'd say that. That doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
Like, and all of that, and just really putting her down. And then Eliza's now developing that attitude because she can see it from Imogen. So yeah, it's just this little cycle. And it's thrown me because I've never had to parent this in Imogen, and now it's like I don't really know what to do.
Yeah, I hear you. It is hard especially when the child who's doing it is normally like, the perfect child. If you had to choose, this child just does everything right and they're so beautiful and whatever. And, I get that. It is, yeah, it was the same with Miami when she's gone through her little patches. So, I want you to try this. I really, you've been a very conscious parent for a long time. So I feel like we can shortcut this process and just go straight to the punchline type thing. I just want this worked for Amani, okay, with Amani and Miami when Bea went through like one of her seasons where she was not a very kind person or sister. And, I remember one day, this is in the Norwood house, like maybe 3 years ago, and I'm just like, there is such a fucking karmic journey between her and Miami, particularly. It was just like, everything Bea was doing was just not even in her nature. Like, she could be a bit of a shit, don't get me wrong. Like, she can be the blunt one, the tough one, the cold one, but it was like nasty, right? And like I had come at it from every angle, and I was just like, man. Anyway, I want you to try this with Imogen, and I at least want you to let me know how she responds, because how she responds will give me a very deep insight to the needs that she's getting met through what she's doing to Eliza, and even the disconnect with that part of her. So first of all, when you've got this child that's been this sweet little perfect one, we have to also be careful that we don't give them that to live up to. I had to do the same with Miami. Like, whoa, where is this? Like, this is not you, but it's like, hey, you're allowed to be who you want to be. And if you want to change, you're allowed to change. And if you want to, go from being the nice sister that says, yes, you can borrow this, and yet to no, you can't. No, you can't. You're allowed to, right? So, and it's hard because we're like, oh, but you were my sweet little one, now you're the one that's causing the arguments, right?
Yeah.
But I want you to have a private conversation with Imogen, and I want you to just give her some validation on how hard it is to be Eliza's sister and even Anthony's sister sometimes, right? So I had this conversation. Mine's a bit opposite because your middle one is in the middle of, two that can be difficult. Mine's the opposite. My middle one's the difficult one, and the others have to kind of adjust. And I remember having this conversation specifically with Amani in regards to Bea. So it's the same as Imogen in regards to Eliza. And I just said to her, hey, listen, I want to have a talk with you about how much I see how hard it is to be Bea's sister sometimes. I'm not like, let's not lie about this. You're right. She does get away with things that you don't get away with. Or like, I'll say, hey, it's your turn to do the dishwasher. And you're like, sure, mum, no worries, I'll do it. Bea runs away, goes upstairs, whatever, have to, and sometimes I'm just like, oh, fuck it, I'll just do it myself. All right.
Yeah. Exactly our scenario.
Right. And it is unfair to the child. It is unfair that, she never really, or even when she does do, like, the arguments used to be about when she would clean up, she'd always miss something. She didn't put the bins out, or she didn't wipe the bench, or, it was always something. And I also knew that I needed to manage Bea's self-esteem, and I refused to have a child that's only ever being told what they're getting wrong and what they still haven't done right. So I chose to focus on what she got right, not what she still didn't do. But I would still also say, hey, next to, hey, thank you for doing the bins, and thank you for, packing the dishwasher or whatever. Just next time, remember, you also need to wipe the benches, right? So you use all the next time language and all that kind of stuff. But I remember this conversation that I had with Amani saying, like, listen, I'm just going to be real with you. You are right. Bea does get away with things, because that was always her complaint. She does get away with things that I won't say you get away with, because you never even try to get away with it. You show up, you are responsible. You say, hey, if it's my turn, it's my turn. That's the nature of who you are, and don't ever change being who you are just because someone else, don't be like, well, I'm not going to do it then. Like, you be who you are, right? But I remember saying to her and Miami, I called her in for maybe a different conversation, but I remember saying to both of them that, that I believe there's a reason that Bea chose this family, and Bea chose to come in between these bookends, like that you are offering Bea's soul an experience on unconditional love, because you have every reason to hate her, to resent her, to not love her, to feel like she makes your life hard. It would be fair and valid for you to see all of that and for that to be real. But honestly, you really do keep forgiving her. Like if ever she needs something, you're there for her at the drop of a hat. You know, she can be a little cow to you one minute, and the next minute she says, "Hey, can I borrow this of yours?" And you're like, "Yeah, sure, but as long as you give it back to me." Like you're just always so forgiving. And I talked about how that, you know, you being the essence of who you are, but I did acknowledge just how hard I know it will be to be Baya's sister. And I said, and you know what? I will never parent you guys the same way. I will parent Baya differently. And I know that that means that sometimes it's going to hurt you because you're going to feel like Baya gets away with something. But I've already made a decision. My options are that I choose to loosen my grip and let go of some things that Baya doesn't do or doesn't do as well as you guys, and just let it not be a big deal. Let small things be small things. Or the option is I pull her up on everything and I will lose my relationship with her. I will not be a safe place for her. She will only get messages on all the things that she's wrong about, all the things that she's bad about, and I will not have a child that hears nothing but that from me as a parent. I just won't. So unfortunately, that does mean that there's going to be lots of things that she, you know, isn't pulled up on, you know, because I'm balancing, you know, what I do choose to pull her up on. Like I'm very careful about what battles I'll pick with her, if that makes sense, right? And I get that for you, that is just completely unfair, and you actually are right. And I'm not here to make it fair. I'm not playing a fairness game. I'm going to do my best to raise Baya the way that I believe I need to raise her. And the most important thing to me is that my relationships are always safe with you all, and that you all believe, you know, like highly of yourselves. And I will do the same for you. I will meet you in everything you need from me, which are very different to what Baya needs from me. And so, you know, that'll mean you get access to, you know, lots of things that Baya doesn't get access to. So I had that conversation and really validated that it is hard to be her sister sometimes. And that, you know what, that's all they needed. My kids, like, and I think the same is going to be with Imogen. She just needs to feel seen and heard, just like you're getting with your mum at the moment. All of that, it's the same thing. Like it's one thing for me to put up with these butt heads, but can somebody see how fucking hard it is? Like it's just,
yeah, she probably does just need a bit of validation.
I just at least want you to, I just want to see how she replies, because that might be all she needs. And
Yeah.
not all she needs. There'll be something in the way she reacts that will pinpoint for me what she does need.
Okay.
Okay.
So I'll come back and tell you kind of what she does. Should I talk about the thing that she's doing with Eliza, or put that aside for now? Like, should I talk about how she's hitting her and all that, or should I just not mention that and just focus on?
You choose to mention it, don't mention it from the perspective of trying to correct her behavior. So what you say is something like, you know, I know that it's hard. And you know, one of the ways that I know that you have a hard time dealing with Eliza sometimes is that you end up treating her in ways that are actually out of character for you. Like you hit her, for example, and that's not your heart. Like I know your heart, and I know it takes a lot to push you to the point where you'll hurt your little sister. I know that's not in your heart to do that. But for you to do that, you're feeling like you're pushed beyond what you can deal with. And I totally understand that. I see that. So just make sure that you can highlight it and put it in her mind, but just let her know, like, that's not who I see you as. Like, that's out of character for you. And that's how I know you're finding it really hard to deal with her at the moment. And you're always welcome to come to me. And like, you're allowed to have how you feel. You're allowed to say, I hate her right now. Like, I know it doesn't mean that in your heart you actually hate your sister, but you're allowed to have a situation where you're so angry, you feel like you just hate, and you can hate me, you can hate dad, and I just use a few different people's names. It's okay to feel like you just hate people sometimes, and especially when you're 7 and you don't have better words to know how to describe what you're feeling.
Yeah.
Like let her just kind of, you know, almost like the fuck you let us thing for adults, but in a child way.
Yeah.
So yeah, just notice her, and yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, like just another example is that like it'll just be over nothing sometimes. Like Imogen will be sitting there, and Eliza like sometimes does things to just love her. Like Eliza will just, instead of sitting on a spare spot on like the 10-seater couch, she'll sit like right next to Imogen, like
Yeah.
like up against her like this and just sit there and watch TV, and Imogen will just get pissed off at it. Like, why do you have to sit on me? There's like all this couch. And then they'll just hit each other, or like she'll hit her. But I like in the moment I try and explain that, like, you know, Eliza loves you and she just wants to sit with you, you know, like, and yeah.
Reason why this is hurting Imogen is feeling really unseen, right? The next thing Imogen absolutely needs from you is to feel like you're on her side, at least sometimes, right? Like literally like a side. So it's like, for example,
I can see it.
Not just always you have to understand Eliza. It's like, Eliza, Imogen is allowed to have her own personal space. And it's beautiful that you want to sit close to your sister. But if you want to sit that close to her, just ask her, can I sit next to you? Because her personal space belongs to her. Okay, so I know you might just be trying to be nice to your sister, so you're kind of planting that seed in Imogen's mind. But what Imogen needs from you is for you to talk to Eliza, for you to see Imogen's perspective, and without making Eliza in trouble for that, explain that. Instead of trying to tell Imogen how to cater for Eliza, teach Eliza how to cater for it. Hey, you have some respect, please. You're allowed to sit on the same couch, but if you're going to sit any closer than like one cushion width, you need to ask your sister, can I sit right next to you?
Yeah.
If she says no, then the answer is no, because people are allowed to want their own personal space, and she does not have to let you into her space. Like, she owns her space. You own your space, and she owns hers. And you're not in trouble. I know you're just trying to love her, but this feels like disrespect to her. So she probably just needs you. She needs to hear you be a voice for her half the time.
Yeah. Okay. All right. I'll have a convo with her and validate it all. And she'll like being heard.
It will mean a lot to her if she hears you talk to Eliza on her behalf before she even has to.
Yeah. Okay.
She's probably just feeling like, you know, no one's going to do anything to help me, so I'm just going to have to sort this out myself.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Let me know how she responds, and let me know while it's fresh as well. Like, if something happens and you have this conversation in the next day or two, put it, even just go and reply to your comment that you put there today, so it's all kind of linked together.
Yeah, okay.
And I'd love to know how she responds. I'll be able to pinpoint exactly what it is if that's not enough.
Okay.
Okay?
All right, cool. Thank you.
No worries. All right. Kate Denton, my darling, let me come to you. You on here? No? Yeah. Oh, wow. What the hell? Can you talk to me? Wait, let me find you again. Hang on. What the hell? Oh, shit. All right. Give me a second, Kate. Something's just happened to this recording thing. Give me 1 sec. Sorry. Oh, my God. All right. I'm just going to leave it. All good. Okay. Hello. Oh, hello there, Mr. Clint. How are you?
Good, how are you?
Excellent, darling. Excellent. Okay. These questions. So, I'm going to break a rule for you tonight, because I think everybody can benefit from this, and we don't get the question very much on sex, and I love to talk about it. So I'm gonna answer 2 of your questions, because I think every person can benefit from the sex question. Okay. Your first one. Oh, yes. Okay. Helping the kids let go and donate old toys. The child that is always going to have the hardest time letting go of anything that they've ever been gifted, or toys or things that they possess, is the child whose love language is gifts. Do you know that that's his love language, or one of his love language? Was that on the radar for you? Because if Dean has a really hard time parting with anything, I'll guarantee you it's one of his top 2 love languages.
Are these kids also like to collect things like rocks even?
All right, okay.
Like random rocks and call them opals or something. Oh, yeah. And you'll find them in his school bag. I don't know.
Yeah, okay. So the way that you do it, regardless whether he's gifts or not, is you make it meaningful to give it away. So the reason a child wants to hold on to something is because when they have to give it away, they see it as a loss, right? If you put some kind of gain in that, so if you talk about, guys, do you know that there are other children that don't get to have this, or that their families have done this? And do you know what? There's this special place. So I always say never, like if you really want to put the gift of giving in your child's heart, you've got to give them an experience with it, okay? The best, and you probably only ever have to do this once, but the best way to do it is not to do a Dropbox, not to go, right, bag it up and then it's gone. They don't see where it goes. They don't know who it impacts. It's just gone. Their only experience is something that used to be mine is now just gone, right? So what you want to do, I did this with Amani at like 7 years old. I did it with all my kids, but with Amani, I did a YouTube video on it. So I can send that to you if you need, or post it up or whatever. I took her to, she with her own money, she bought a blanket, a scarf and a beanie. And I literally took her into a homeless shelter. And she chose with her own heart, with her own intuition, who would be the person that she wanted to give it to. And that girl was named Charlie, and she told Amani her story about how she ended up without a home, but I shared it with her. So it's a saying, like, don't just put a can under the Kmart Christmas tree. Like, if you can go into a hospital and donate some toys to the kids ward, or, office, or go into a childcare center and set it up and go, look, could we just bring in 5 toys and could you just share how grateful you are? Like, it's about putting the feeling in your child's spirit. They'll be hooked on it for life, because intrinsically that's our essence, to be able to impact other lives, right? And so then when it comes time to let things go, it's not about what I'm, like, for the child, it's not about what I'm losing, it's about what I'm giving. I need to get something out of this. And they do, and we all should. We all get programmed that you should give without expecting to receive. It's the biggest load of shit. It sets you up for absolute fucking poverty in life, and not just like financial poverty, but just like you should expect to receive on anything you give, not necessarily from the person you give to. Not like, if I give you something, you should give me something. From the universe, that the law of the universe is that the more that I am willing to give, the more I will receive. Because you cannot give, like, every time you give, by default, you have just confirmed for your own subconscious mind that you have enough. So you will always feel abundant in some way when you give something. Does that make sense? And that's a feeling you want your kids chasing for life. How can I give? How can I serve? How can I make a difference? How can I be of value? Like, what wisdom can I impart on the world, or how can I help, or whatever? With full expectation that the more that I am willing to give with a free heart, the more will be absolutely return. I will experience a life of peace, a life of happiness, a life of abundance, that things will be given to me too. But it doesn't mean I give money, I get money. I give a toy, I get a toy. It's the spirit of giving is always returned to us. It's a currency, and it's a law of the universe, right? So first of all, everyone out there, do not teach your kids to give without expecting to receive. It's so wrong, okay? And we literally turn them off to just an innate wisdom within us. So make it an experience of, hey, how about we all pack? How about we all choose some things? Mummy's going to choose some things too. Daddy can choose some things. Find some clothes you don't want, or some old Ugg boots, or just whatever. How about we all find, and you might need to do it in stages, not just pack up his whole room and go, this is all going, right? Just start with choose 5 things, and we're going to go to wherever it is that you can organize, somewhere that they can physically feel a vibration. If you can organize this, feel a vibration of the person they give to, that the true gratitude, that they have truly been able, that all they did was give away that toy, and look what that did for that little boy that probably whose house burned down, or what. Tell them the story. Yeah, you put that in their heart, and they won't have a problem with giving. Yeah. And then it's not just about, oh, you need to get rid of your stuff. It's like, hey guys, let's make up a box that we can go and give. And once you've got this in their heart, Kate, then you can make it convenient and go past the salvos and do a drop box or something like that, right? Hey, I don't know, and tell them about it. There's this place, it's called the Salvation Army, and what they're all about is they help families that don't have much money and children that, blah, blah, blah. Sometimes they're in violent situations and they have to leave their homes behind and all these kind of things. And, these children have nothing and they feel like sometimes they even feel like there's nobody that cares about them. And then when someone like you comes along and they get a whole box of things because you left it there for the Salvation Army to give to a family, that child feels like, oh, wow, somebody cares about me. So put meaning in the giving for them and you watch, their spirits are wired for it. They probably won't be able to wait to have a box of stuff. And then you come home one day and your kids will be like, Mum, I've packed up this box and this box. And you're like, hey, you're giving that away. Yeah, I don't want it. I'm just going to get, you're like, no, you can't give that away. It'll be the opposite.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. So do that. Do you have any questions on that? Like just putting a feeling in it so that they're not focused on what they're losing. They're focused on what they gain.
Yeah, no, that sounds, yeah.
Good. Okay, makes sense. All right. And then
we've just got a little one.
Okay.
We've just got a little one come and lay on the end of the bed. This time.
I personally don't care, but do you care? I mean, it's totally up to you, and I'm happy to come back to you and go to someone else and then come back to this question if you want to go deal with that.
It's all good.
Yeah, you okay with it? You okay if I talk freely in front of your ears? So the next question then is, look, in regards to shower stuff and poking each other's bodies, I mean, I'm not saying to completely dismiss it. Like, you're allowed to have an awareness and keep an eye on it and, make sure nobody's being violated. But oftentimes, we attach meaning to things that they don't have. When it comes to, I remember a dad being on this call one day saying, like, my daughter's 7, like, when should I stop having showers with her? And my answer is when she's no longer comfortable. Right. And I would say the same to you, that if Dean is completely comfortable, he's not standing there like staring at your boobs or, anything like that makes you uncomfortable or anything. If he's just getting in, having his shower and getting out, and there's no attention drawn to anyone's bodies or anything like this, whatever, it's beautifully healthy. It's like there just is no body. Like, the only time we start to create body image disconnections with our children is when we start drawing attention to bodies. Okay. Now, if he, of course, gets to the age where he starts being naturally curious, naturally like, why have you got that and why this, answer them and let it be that. But if it ever starts feeling uncomfortable, I mean, you matter too. All right. And at that point you can make a decision to not have showers together. But honestly, until then, it's honestly, if he has showers with you till he's 11 or whatever, like, he might be so comfortable with his body, he doesn't even think a thing about it, doesn't think a thing about yours, and it's literally just us that's like, oh, you're a bit older now or something like that. So you definitely need to, make sure you feel comfortable too. But my position on it is that, why do we feel uncomfortable? Why is that unnatural? Like, why is it even wrong? I mean, if we still lived in tribes and, out in the open, I mean, 10 of us would probably just, get around, have a shower together or something. Like, it's not even a thing. Do you know what I mean? Like, we've just got such a meaning put on it. But of course, if something becomes inappropriate, then you pull it up right there and then. Really, you say, hey, like, I don't feel comfortable with you asking questions about that, or I don't feel comfortable with that, so you know what, this is going to be the last time we have a shower together. It's not because you've done anything wrong, it's just that the questions you're starting to ask or whatever it is that's happening is just showing me that you're ready now to go to the next stage of life, which is where your body is yours and my body is mine, and there's nothing wrong or embarrassing about our bodies, but you can have your showers separately to me. That's perfectly fine. Okay. I remember that call. What's it saying? I was uncomfortable, but I've learned not to attach a meaning. Yeah, and they still do it. Yeah, cool. And that's the same with them touching each other's bodies. That, honestly, if there's a sense of fun and innocence to it, let it be innocent. The only thing that happens is that we come along and we, we remove the innocence by attaching meanings to it that it truly didn't have. Like bodies are interesting things, particularly when there's a brother and a sister, right? Doodles are funny looking things and vaginas are funny looking things. And, like they're truly, I wish that as a society, that unless, of course, we're crossing boundaries or making people uncomfortable or violating people, of course. But if it's truly done with a sense of fun and innocence, then let it be that. Talk to them about how did you feel when he was touching your vagina or whatever, and it can be, you can say things like, hey, just remember, okay, your body belongs to you and your body belongs to you. And no one is ever allowed to touch your body or even, refer to your body in ways that you're not okay with. So if at any time you don't like what's happening, or you are the boss of your own body, okay? And so all you do is give them their own personal empowerment to say, don't do that, don't touch me there, stop that, then they can learn their own boundaries when it comes to their bodies.
Yep.
Yeah. Do you have any questions on that, or do you want any explanation on that, or should we move into the sex topic, or?
Yeah.
Yeah, you okay with that? Cool. So just let it be what it is, and don't attach an adult meaning to it, until it gets inappropriate. And then where was it? Okay, sex. Here's the thing. The three, the most important things that I believe that we should have the most open, most comfortable, most normal conversations about is sex and money. And most people don't talk about those two things with kids. They don't need to know that until they're older. Your whole entire life, for the rest of your life, once you're no longer a child, for this much of your entire life, you spend not really needing to know about money or sex. The rest of your life is governed by you being a sexual being, okay? Your sexuality is millions of years old. You are here because of sex. We all come from sex, and that will always, the millions of years of instinctual wiring and all of that is always going to be more powerful than even any religion, even anything that anyone hears from anyone in their life, right? And so sex and money are two things that I believe every child should be able to talk about. Like, you should be able to talk about sex like you can talk about going out and going down the slide, or like your elbow. You talk about your penis and your vagina like you talk about your elbow and your knee. Like, it's just an energy that we put around it that makes it feel wrong or uncomfortable. So I'm all for, I'm so deeply all for, and I have a video. I did a video a few years ago, like 5 or 6 years ago, and it was actually on Kundalini, which is your sexual energy, which is also your life force energy. Listen, everyone hear me here. If you shut down a child's sexual energy, their natural nature to explore sexuality, and even in yourself, and your sexual energy is your life force energy. When you shut yourself down sexually, you shut yourself down to your life force. You shut yourself down to your life purpose, to your values, to who the hell are you in this world and what are you meant to do with your life. When people come to me wanting to know their life purpose, where do I start work? I just want to know, why am I on earth and what should I be doing with my life? The first place I'll go to is let's explore your sexuality. Because if you can't be open and connected with your sexuality, you will never be connected and aligned with your life force. Your life force is your purpose work. They are literally a synonymous energy. Make sense? Yeah? So please, if there's anything all of you can do with your children, please, just let sex be. My first response when sex comes up, anytime it's mentioned, even if a 4-year-old says it or something like that, and they're not even really looking for much about it, or like you explained with Dean here, he doesn't even really know much about the anatomical or physiological references. He just, has got this concept. I like how he's doing his little pumping motion or something like that. That was kind of cool, whatever it was. It's that my first response is sex is beautiful. Sex is a beautiful thing. What have you learned about sex? I love sex. Sex is a beautiful thing. What have you learned about it? What are you talking about sex? He might be like trying to make funny. You can be funny about sex, but sex is also very beautiful. It's one of the most beautiful experiences we can ever have with somebody that we love, just so you know. And just leave it at that. If they don't ask for more, don't give them more. Your children will, like how you know what age appropriate things to talk about, because I don't necessarily believe in just age appropriate. I believe in like consciousness appropriate, because like you're saying, you said like Dean is a bit more of an immature 9-year-old, I think you said, or something like that. Whereas the next child could be 6 and just wise beyond their years, kind of a thing. So whatever they are asking for, they are ready for. Yeah. Does that make sense? That's the general rule. But the only thing that I would say to every parent is that whenever your child makes a reference to sex or just like any kind of association with sex, that your very first instinct, before even addressing what they've actually just done or actually just said, that your very first reaction is always that sex is beautiful, because the deepest shame that we carry as adults is sexual shame. It's like at the end of the day, you're going to explore your sexuality. I don't care what religion you're raised in, what you will do it anyway. All you're going to do, because your instincts are going to be stronger than any of your willpower, and all you're going to do is hide that you've done it, feel bad that you've done it, think you're a dirty, disgusting person because you've done it, that you're shameful and sinful. And the most beautiful, most natural, normal part of you becomes demonized by you, and you hold shame around it. And then that affects the rest of your life. I work with someone right now who was raised Greek Orthodox, very, very shut down sexually and all those things as a teenager. And now, even with her husband, after 18 years together, really, really struggles, like deeply struggles to have a beautiful intimacy in their relationship. And she holds shame over that now. But you can't be raised with all of this negative, shameful, dirty, wrong, sinful messages about sex in the prime stages of your life, where you are entering yourself as a sexual being. I mean, we were made with hormones at the ages that, like bring us into that. And I'm not saying let them have, I like teach them how to respect themselves, of course, right? But you can't receive at the very fertile stages of your sexual development nothing but dirty, sinful, disgusting, shameful, bad, it's wrong messages, and then end up in any relationship, a marriage, a union that is a covenant by God or whatever, and then go, oh, I'm totally free in my sexuality and I love to explore and it's a beautiful part of me and I love what I share with my partner. You have been programmed that anything that feels good to you is basically wrong and sinful and dirty and disgusting. And that's what you'll feel about yourself for being a sexual being. And you are a sexual being. Yeah. So the most important thing that we can do for our children is to make sure there's no shame around sex. And like you said, it's been a taboo subject in your life. It's been a taboo subject in pretty much all of our lives, who were raised by the generation before us. But this is where we get to make a change. We get to make it different. We teach them to absolutely have beautiful relationships with their sexuality. The person who has a beautiful relationship with their sexuality, who truly honors its power and its existence, that's the person that you don't even have to teach to respect themselves. The people who have, been taught that it's wrong and it's demonized and all this stuff, they're the people that are either shut down and withdraw so deeply they can't ever open up, not only to their sexual energy, but to the whole point of their existence, their life force energy, right? Or they go the other way, they completely rebel. They feel like even if they enjoy it, I was raised as a Catholic, right? And, my parents were both sexually abused as children. And so I totally can understand logically that their intentions were only ever to protect us, but they, made it, don't show that and you cover your body and, close your legs and like at 4 years old and whatever, put your knickers on or whatever, right? Just this constant messaging around my body and sexuality or whatever, right? And I totally get that they just, totally didn't want us to experience what they had been through. But what it caused was, even in my marriage, even after 10 years, this is before I did the real deep work on my own sexuality, which really only started for me about 7 years ago, that like if I enjoyed sex with my husband, if I even started to remotely just lose myself in the moment, I would feel like the dirtiest slut. Literally, I felt like a dirty slut. It's the only way I can explain it. For days, I would be so I would be like sleep with clothes on, I'd be like, don't fucking touch me. I just felt like me enjoying intimacy with my husband, even after 10 years, was somehow dirty and shameful and wrong. And it caused my body. I had so many urinary tract infections in my life, so many urinary tract infections that all come from, the emotional cause of like that area of my body and it being shameful. And urinary tract infections were almost proof that, I'd done something wrong with that part of my body.
Yeah.
Fucking injured our marriage. I had a lot of work to do on myself, a lot of work to get to a place now where I have a very healthy sexuality. And isn't it interesting that at the same time I did the work on my sexuality, my purpose work bloomed in my life, and here I am doing what I'm on this earth to do. Yeah. So I would just talk. The first comment needs to be sex is beautiful. I love sex. Sex is a beautiful thing. Yeah. Not like, oh, be careful, or sex can hurt people, or, you could get pregnant. Just that will come later when it's actually relevant. We have those conversations when they're whatever, 14, 15, 16, and they're starting to go out or go to parties or getting boyfriends. And of course, we have those mature conversations, but we want to make sure there hasn't even been a single dirty seed about sex planted in our children's mind before they get to the age where we need to have those real conversations. Yeah?
That's great what you just said.
What's that? Sorry?
I like it's great what you just said.
Yeah. It is so important with both of them. Otherwise, they go one way or the other. They shut down or they fucking run wild, and they have a million sex partners and they have no respect because having sex feels like freedom, because it's rebellion. Rebellion feels like freedom. And if they've been shut down, but they've had these innate desires that they tried to suppress, but eventually, like, the dam breaks and all the energy comes out. I mean, there's no one, that is stronger in their willpower than millions of years of evolution. Yeah. And just so you know, Clint, okay, Sarah Pacquiano said that she just tagged Clint in the Kundalini video that I did. It was on Kundalini sexuality and periods, like menstruation or whatever, like and how to talk to your girls about that, and even with your boys, like even Kate, when you get your period, just like even that, just making passing comments and never making it a secret, making sure no one knows when you're bleeding, just like fucking whatever, just let it be. Like, you'd say, oh, I just need to go to the toilet. Hang on, guys, I'm just going to go do a wee and I'll be back in a minute. You can be like, hang on, guys, I've got to go to the toilet. I've got my period. Just put the words out there so that then when they get to the age where that's relevant to them, or Dean's got a girlfriend that's got her period, he doesn't see her as like dirty or disgusting, or, oh, I can't touch you while you're bleeding, and all these negative, connotations to the most sacred part of us as women. Yeah. I'm just looking. I was the relabeling one. There you go. All right, Shelley. Yeah. That's what we do when we're shut down. It bursts at some point. The dam bursts. I'm just looking. Oh, I love that, Shara. Let me just see. Okay, cool. Do you have any question at all? Feel free to ask me. Anything you've got to ask, I'm willing to answer it on this topic. Does anyone on the line have a question on this? Go for it. Open your line, unmute, ask me a question, or put it in the chat box. But Kate and Clint, did you have anything else you wanted to ask on this?
I'm okay.
Oh, I'm okay, thank you. It's been great advice and insight to what you've just told us.
Great. Love that.
Much appreciated.
Love that. And it does, by the way, I wouldn't call it the downside, but the flip side is that, like my daughter now, she's 13, my youngest, so she'll come home from school and she'll be like, Mum, I can't believe like my friends think that like we're so weird that like we talk because I said something today about sex or my period or this or that or whatever. And she'll just be like, Mum, do you know that like my friend, like she told her mum that she got her period and her mum just bought her some pads. And then since that day, her mum's never talked to her. She's never even heard the word. Her mum doesn't, every month her mum just leaves her some pads and she's never talked to her about it. Like, and so like my kids are like, I didn't know that other people don't talk about this. We talk about it at the fucking dinner table. Like, other people are like, what? I'd never be allowed to talk about it, let alone even at the dinner table. So, like as though it's dirty or disgusting or something. But the downside is that your kids will have friends one day where they're like, what? Your family is weird, or the friends are here and my kids don't even think about it, and they'll just say something about sex or just whatever, and the other friend will be like so embarrassed, like so like, did you like what did you just say? And she'll be like, nah, I talked to my mum about sex. And so yeah, you'll be a very different family, but the kids get liberated by it. Like their friends are like, oh man, your parents are the best. Like, I wish I could, talk to my mum, or, I wish I could ask questions about condoms or tampons or whatever. My kids are like, just ask. What's the problem? Just ask. Yeah. So that's the relationship you want your children to have with the deepest part of themselves, which is their sexuality.
I just want to say, Holly, to add to that, we had a call about Ruby a couple of months ago about sex and vaping and stuff. I don't know if that triggers you. She now comes to me and she says, Mum, would you buy me condoms when I start having sex? I was like, yeah, of course. So we made the conscious call, her father and I, not to put her on the pill when it comes time to that because of all the chemicals and how it could stuff up her hormones. But now she's asked me, can you show me how to do a blowjob? And I was like, I'm uncomfortable with this conversation right now, Rubes. I'll get back to you.
So you can say, hey, listen, what you do in your sexual life is a personal thing. Blowjobs, by the way, like there's nothing wrong with that. And if you ever feel like you're ready to do that, the only thing that's ever important is that you feel ready with anybody touching your body or with you touching anybody else's body in whatever ways that is. The only thing that I'll ever say about any of these topics is the only thing that's important is that you feel ready and that you feel that you never feel, like somebody's forcing you to do something. Okay. I'm never going to show you something because one of the most beautiful things about sex and sexuality is the space that we get to learn in. Sexuality, it makes us vulnerable, and it's a beautiful part of ourselves that we explore just with ourselves. It's a private thing. It's a very intimate. That's what makes it intimate. It's something we share with, the person that we love or the person, that we're with, or that's our boyfriend or girlfriend or whatever the deal is. So I'm never going to show you how to do something. You're always welcome to, watch things about it or something like that, or ask questions, or I can buy you a book on sexuality or something like that if you feel like you've got a bit of a need to know more about it. But one of the beautiful things about sexuality is that you explore all of these new parts of yourself, things that you've never felt before, never done before, all of those things. And so, when it comes time where you feel ready to, give someone a blowjob, if that's what you're talking about, just make sure you feel ready for that. And you explore and you find your own way through, how you do that, or, because the thing is with anything, there's no one way to do anything. There really isn't, because what all these things are about is providing a connection and an intimacy and a pleasure for our partners and sharing in that pleasure with our partners. So what's important, let's say if she's specifically asking about a blowjob and, she's a teenager or whatever, I would say, what's important is not that you have this conversation with me, that you have this conversation with your partner and you ask him, what does he like? And, what feels right for him and what doesn't he like? And you respect his boundaries and what he likes and what he doesn't like. And whenever somebody touches yours, you expect the same for them. So, and then if ever you have another partner, they might like different things and not like different things. So this is what's beautiful, and this is why it's called intimacy, because it really brings us into ourselves, into, you know, a deeper connection with the people that we love. So I'm never going to answer questions on how to do something, because you'll find your own way. But you know, it's never wrong of you to ask, but I'm never going to share that information. That's private, that's personal, and that's why it's called intimacy, because intimacy is something you share with one person, and you know, you don't share with the world.
Okay, awesome. If that comes up again, I can definitely say that. Yeah.
Something like that. Yeah, I mean, I've never been asked that question before, but she's got autism and her brain is just like, boom, what do I say? What do I do? You know, so yeah.
And I don't want to shut her down in any way, because we're developing a really good relationship. Like, we were homesick today, and like she just spent most of the day with me, whereas it used to be just in a room, and I would have to call her for food and stuff. So like she's out of her room constantly at the moment. So I'm loving it.
Beautiful. Yeah, well, that's a neurodivergent brain for you. They're just like, boom, here's the question. Anyway, good luck with that. All right, beautiful people. Yes, I'm just seeing beautiful. Yeah, beautiful. So the whole point is no shame, okay? And that sex always feels like a safe place, and it does feel sacred and it feels intimate, because then we can raise children who have very beautiful, healthy relationships with themselves, which will then flow on into beautiful, healthy relationships in general with other people, okay? With no shame. For the rest of your life, you're going to have sex. So why would you want your child to be riddled with shame with something that they're going to do for the rest of their life? And something so beautiful, something so deeply connecting, a place where two souls can engage and express without any spoken words, but a deep sense of love and connection. How the fuck can we make that wrong? Yeah, that's my 2 bobs worth. Anyway. Beautiful people, I'm gonna let you go. It's late. Good night. Have an excellent week, and I will see you back here. The link is in the chat if you need it. If you want to come to Happy to Whole, if you've got any questions, reach out. But the next one is in April, and we also have Purpose Retreat, which is about knowing your life purpose, finding out what your purpose is in life. You know, what are you meant to be doing with your life? How do you create a life that is deeply fulfilling to you? Not just successful, but fulfilling. We have a lot of people that are multimillionaires that come because they've got success, but they don't have fulfillment. And then we have people who are like, well, I love my life, but you know, I don't have enough money in my life. I don't have enough abundance in my life. I'm always restricted. So that is everything to do with peace, passion, purpose, and profits. That's what we discuss. That's what we go through for 3 days at Purpose Retreat. We have world-class speakers coming in. We have multi-billionaires coming in, and it's not about the money. It's about the way that they've served the world in order to have that kind of abundance in their life. So if you haven't heard about it, or you want to come and you want to know what your purpose is in life, you need to book, because it's only like 8 weeks away. Okay. All right, beautiful people. Oh, Shelley, you signed up. Oh, I love that. Look at you. That is a resolved decision, and you watch what opens in your life. Now that your soul knows you're committed to this journey, you're putting yourself in an environment, even though it's whatever, 5 months away or whatever, your willingness to show up and open up is going to be a whole different level now that your soul knows that it's got that space coming. Okay, so I feel so excited for you, Shelley. That is amazing. Beautiful, darling. Beautiful. All right, good night, my beautiful people. I will see you all next week.